millions upon millions of children are laid alone, suffering, starving, with bed sores, confused, in pain, mentally, physically, emotionally, unable to talk, unable to get up and walk away, unable to call for help. And so a child incarnates in a body which is defective, in a world which is defective. And they have parents who are defective. And they keep them alive not out of love and compassion, but out of fear that they will be prosecuted for infanticide if they don't. And these children are there in this bubble, this cocoon of a frequency of suffering like you have never imagined. This village, it will start the journey in collective human consciousness for us to recognize and see that these millions of invisible children are here. And perhaps we might get up and go to war for them and set them free. And in setting free one child, you begin to set free fallen consciousness for all of man. Some topics are difficult for we humans to share. But when we stand in our truth, we are empowered. Not only does it provide us confidence to push forward with boldness and without fear of judgment and condemnation, but energetically, as a being of frequency, the more we anchor in truth and away from the betrayal or the misrepresentation of reality, the more power of the God force we are able to bring into our life, and with it to begin to rewrite reality. For the God force is the source code programmer, and we are in a world where a fallen programmer competes with the source code, the Christ. And as a fallen species, we have become amnesic of our true power. We believe intelligence and movement of our hands, movement of our speech is the only way we impact reality. But we impact reality on a far deeper level, through harmonic attunement to the source code and rewriting reality, commonly pointed at with the term prayer. When you get into the work of deliverance and the like, sometimes events can take place that shock your worldview. And it takes you a long time to find confidence to speak into these topics. I have touched on this, but never so openly and clearly as I am now. We have spoken of the fallen ones, the fallen angels, and the fallen ones are those that represent a consciousness that does not wish to bring the love and the unity of God into the 3D through humility and surrender and unity with it. Rather, it wishes to be it through persistent analysis and dissection of the workings of the creation field of God's generous heart that we all dwell within, and controlling vast swathes of that knowledge and information through various technological means, functioning from this dimension and others in ways that we can hardly grasp and understand. False creator gods, as are depicted as the archons in the Nag Hammadi. When I was provided with the gift from Spirit of purifying entities, I believe it was brought to the humans sitting here talking due to the work that we do. The children that arrive in our care are weak, they are sick, they are traumatized. They are among the most traumatized, marginalized and abused and suffering children on planet Earth. Entities attach to human beings and their energy field, and when you push those entities out, they can fight the child, or they can fight the adult, and it manifests in a struggle, in pain. The anointing Spirit gave me allowed me to bring these entities to my energy body, but not to my spirit, and to purify them. They cannot access my spirit, they cannot change my temperament, but they can come to my body whilst they are purified. And there were two specific types of entity that I was seeing afflicting humanity. One I will point at with the common term demon, an energy form that yearns for a physical body to manifest sensation through. They stalk permanently hoping to access a body or attach to a body in some small way to feel the sensation of the 3D once again. These demons are lower astral beings that feed on the same suffering and torment that they, through their conscious choices and abusive free will, have become addicted to, familiar with, in the same way humans can get addicted to stress hormones. They are very lost, but they are not without personality. They are individual sentient life forms, sometimes making up collectives, legions as the Bible called it. The other entity I saw has a body, and the location of that body has been something of a conundrum in my life as I try to work out where they are. I began to perceive they were extra-dimensional, they were from another dimension at least. But the body that they have in that dimension wishes to also feel the sensation of the 3D without having a permanent residence within it. These beings also extract energy from the 3D realm by creating biological machines, fallen species. You see, their rebellion leaves them in a frequency range where they can't access the one infinite energy source, the generous heart of Creator. And so what they do is create slave species. They hack humanity and other sentient life. And in that hack we feel a void, a state of separation from Creator. And in that longing to return to the wholeness of Creator's presence, in our amnesic state, we begin to search and seek inside the world and the comfortable prison cell of worldly desire to fill that state of separation that the higher dimensional slave technology within us has created. The veil of thought, the hardware that generates an image of a personal me separated and external from God. That state makes the void, and that void stimulates the activity of the species to pursue the use of their vitality in the wrong way to fill that void. And as they do, they bring through free will the light of God into frequency ranges that the fallen can access, and there they get their drug, there they feed on the machine of collective consciousness that they have created. They feed on man's rebellion, man's separation, man's pursuit externally into the energy extraction matrix. By tampering with endless species, they create machines that feed them the energy of the fall, the energy of sin, the energy of separation, the energy of world worship, the energy of worshipping the satanic simulations that we are incarnating in, the extraction matrix. Now, it is not that the reality is fully their own. The source code programmer is here. but it has been distorted, for they are writing program code with ignorance and knowledge. The source code wrote with all knowingness. We begin to touch that we are the beings from the Christic realm dragged into that realm, and we start to ask for a world with less suffering, which is opposed to the rules of the game of the fallen world, which is survival of the fittest. These beings, with their bodies dwelling in another dimension, look like reptilian humanoids, draconian humanoids. They look like a human on two legs, but like a reptile with a tail. I have seen these beings. I've seen them attached to people, and I've seen their surprise when they recognize that I can see them. At the same time, they try to bring you to a frequency of fear. They try to startle you, to scare you. They do this because in that state of fear, you disable the presence of the Christ, and the presence of the Christ is the source code programmer. And as they move interdimensionally to feed on humans, to possess them in their own way, to use them as an avatar for their own perversions and energy needs, that connection interdimensionally is code, it's program. And so if you can harmonically attune to the source code well enough, to the Christ, you can delete that code and that connection and set people free from their influence. It is the same with the demonic as well, of course. Yeshua arrived here carrying the Christ codes, the source code programs. When sickness was witnessed, unfavorable codes that create suffering, they were deleted instantaneously. There was no discussion whether this is a lesson from God, as the many New Age philosophies say. The response was clear and it was abrupt. Delete the code of suffering. This is not getting the vote of the Christ, or it would not be getting deleted. This is harmonic attunement, and we, as we grow in our relationship with Creator and the awakened state, can also begin to write codes into reality. Also begin to delete unfavorable codes or heal people, and also begin to deliver people from possession, or delete the codes that are allowing interdimensional forces to attach to our fellow man. Yeshua said these signs and wonders will follow those that believe. They will cast out devils, they will heal the sick, they will pray in a new tongue. Praying in a new tongue is a manifestation of the source code arriving in the cells of the body, and in that space a type of prayer which harmonically attunes you to the source code programmer, to the Christ, manifests. Some have called it praying in the language of light, others have called it praying in tongues, others have called it praying in the Spirit. As this takes a hold of your body, you harmonically attune to the Christic realm, you receive vision, prophecy, and elevation, edification in power to delete the codes in this world that are unfavorable, or to even heal, as I have witnessed but have not in any way claimed to be a master of. This attunement to the source code is difficult for humanity because of the interdimensional slave fallen technology within us. And that technology is profoundly difficult for people to understand, yet very simple at the same time. You are the loving awareness guided by the divine revelation of Spirit. This is your original state. The fallen technology within us takes the loving awareness and brings it into a structure of hardware within the mind that generates an image of self, an image of a personal meanness and a personal history, and it takes that hardware of the mind and places it in the throne of your life. So you now rely on your own analysis, your own dissection of reality, and you begin to walk by sight alone and not by faith. In that space, we restrict the power of Christ in this realm. mankind's only hurdle to reprogram reality, which is the highest road here. The highest road is to walk in this world and rewrite the codes of the fall from within to alter it. And of course the fall will oppose you. It's why Yeshua had to be crucified. It's why the apostles all suffered for their love. It's why the saints, many of them died in terrible ways. Because the fallen world targets those who harmonically attune with the source code and tries in any way to derail them, to tempt them off it, and if all else fails, to terminate the human organism that is bringing those codes into this reality. And so man's unbelief is the hurdle. For within unbelief, we allow the hardware within us to alter and fluctuate the potency of the source codes that we can channel into and command into this reality. So this looks a lot like saying the connection is dulled to the Creator, and so man may receive a divine revelation that he is supposed to do the following work for God. And immediately the hardware grabs the power of the Christ that is trying to alert the human to their destiny, and the human mind and its fears and its inability to remain in the faith of understanding that the Creator of the universe wishes to support them in what they are doing, says, I can't do that for I have no money. So they take a concept created by human thought, influenced by the fallen, and they say money is God here and now. The God of this situation is money. Never mind faith and the heart of the Creator which is with me and saying you can go this way and it will take place. This is disabled, and man chooses a God of the situation which is not healthy, such as money, doubt, and things of this nature. When you get to the point of understanding how the source code programmer and you are one, you begin to recognize what religion has done to weaken mankind. Often it is akin to, it takes 99% nutrition and 1% poison to kill a rat, forgive the crude analogy. Often it's okay for the fallen to feed you with much nutrition and a little bit of poison, for the poison is that which will take a hold. Humans are disempowered. We are talking to God about the problems in front of us. We are talking to God about the demons in our loved ones, instead of talking to the demons and talking to the problems with the authority of God, thereby sending forth program codes from the Creator that are going to change reality, alter reality. Confidence in faith and belief. We are asking all the time some external Creator to come and solve our problems instead of speaking to our problems with the authority of a Creator that is united with you. Commanding your own holiness in this world is the power they wish to keep you away from at all costs. And many from religious mindsets can't handle that they have divinity in them. But the Bible tells you, for example, as he was in this world, so are you. Greater works than he you will do, for he will have gone to the Father. Are we doing greater works? Are we looking like we might do greater works? Are we simply at home obeying the rules of the hardware that's been programmed in our mind that says we are a nationality who functions with this very limited physical toolbox? This is a deception. People are not recognizing that they can alter reality. The fallen, the reptilians, and other species akin to them, but the reptilians have the most impact here, it would seem. They recognize this. The whole system of them having a machine to feed on is reliant on humanity having a connection or being attuned for the loving awareness of the divine spark. Plato said the body is a tomb for the soul. To those who are depressed, addicted, the suicide victims, it is so. 100% it is so. The system of extraction means that we must have the God spark with us. That means it's a fine balance for the machine you are using to generate your energy. The slave technology in man and the influence on reality can be overcome, for the God force dwells in every single human being. But as they say, or Yeshua said, narrow is the way, few will find it. For most believe so deeply in the carnival of the 3D world and the beauty of the 3D world and the pleasures of the 3D world, that bringing in that love from the highest of high that says, I am willing to alter this fallen world, bring program codes in that are going to change it at whatever cost. That's the highest love and highest harmonic attunement. But that means that you have to recognize in that road, Creator cannot guarantee your safety, cannot guarantee your health, cannot guarantee you a long life. But when that harmonic attunement and that doorway is opened and the Christ is with you, you recognize that it is okay, for there is no other way to alter the fallen world than to pursue that highest road. That highest road that says the liberation of my fellow man in this world has more value than 80 years of self-preservation and comfort. The hardware within us will challenge that. But this is a reality. You are in a fallen world. And the fallen ones target those who bring in too much of the source code. The reptilians at the same time have allegiances here on planet Earth with elitists, cartels, governments. Some remote viewers have seen them in certain bases and military stations. Others, which I've touched upon, recognize that the stereotypical, some of the stereotypical grey alien forms that we see are simply biosuits for these other dimensional species to navigate this reality and assist the 3D. How they make these allegiances it's unclear. It's really unclear. Is it through threat of violence? Is it through manipulation? Is it through forming a belief in the mind of man that indeed this beautiful creator of ours that we unite with is the one that should be escaped? As the fallen ones believe, they are technologically trying to escape the trap that a fallen god, or that the creator god that we know, has created for them. They wish to escape existence, and they will get there at any cost. And as they said to me, when I drive my car and I hit bugs on the road, I often get out my car and I don't say sorry. I don't even think about it. And they likened the abuse of mankind based on our intelligence level and development level to me hitting bugs with a car. It's nothing personal. You're just in the way of our journey of becoming a creator or escaping creator through technological advancement. Recently I saw Tucker Carlson mention that these beings may already be here, even though he did not state who these beings were. But as my journey has continued, I have begun to see that there may be some truth in that. That aside from there being some beings on the planet from this species functioning in certain ways, that some may well have civilizations here that are hidden from humanity, hidden technologically or perhaps even physiologically, as in geographically underground and the like. And this gets very far out there for people. But this is a truth of our world, that it is not that these beings are using some technology to cloak themselves. It is that we have a slave technology within us that has been altering the bandwidth of reality that we perceive, the bandwidth of reality that we access. And that's why as we grow spiritually, and we overcome that alien slave technology. We deprogram the image of a personal meanness, which is trying to control and analyze its way through life. We start to enter unity consciousness, Eden consciousness, and away from the knowledge of good and evil operating system. This state means that we end separation, for most of us live our life analyzing. And if you analyze reality, you create an analyzer here and a topic of analysis there. Without an analyzer, without an observer, topic of observation, without any of those structures forming in the hardware, there is a whole other road for the species, and it's a spiritual road through unity and intuition and oneness with Creator and the living God here and now, and the creation field of that Creator, or at least the codes that are not fallen within our reality. When it comes, therefore, to these allegiances are geared towards taking collective human consciousness as a resource towards a certain destination and goal. If humanity believes a certain way, the whole entire output of their collective intelligence will be different. It will go in a certain direction, and that resource is harnessed. We did not have to reach the point where we are now, where we are going to automate everything with AI and so on. It could have gone a whole different direction. We didn't need to use so many resources on the development of creation based on fear and separation and weapons of war that are born from there. Unity consciousness could have took hold, and we could have built technologies of a totally different format. But the fallen have one goal, and they don't care about the details of the knowledge of good and evil operating system that we function within. And therefore, if you take a war like Israel and Palestine at the moment, which if you went to another planet you would say surely someone set that up to corner a people and then bomb them and harm them and maim them, surely that's been set up in some strange way, shape or form to have some means that we don't quite see, but people still think it's about nationality and about religion and about land. People still think these identities that they adopt by absorbing information about human thought, by clinging to creations from human thought, past and present. They feel these identities are who they are, and they are a knowledge of good and evil operating system identity. And so they think this is about land, this is about exterminating a people, but it's about generating energy. Nothing else. The narratives are irrelevant to the fallen. This is why, when you look at a war like that, you can look at it this way. Christ said, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." Meaning, in this event, nobody is right. But many Christians who are supposed to follow Christ are siding with Israel. Many say that Israel is the monster. People are in the duality trap from an orchestrated event, I will argue. It's had buttons pushed spiritually in this world. And so you have the birth of yet another war. And the details of that war to the fallen who are not attached to the duality and these identities that are restricted of religion and nationality, they are not even at all attached to these notions and the meaning of them. For them, it was running programs in the mind of multiple humans to bring the conflict, to bring the suffering so they can feed again. So they can generate heavier consciousness to ensure that less and less humans wake up to the power of the Christ. This is a huge pill for people to swallow. But let he who is without sin cast the first stone means stand with compassion. It doesn't mean take a side. It means neither side is worthy of the fuel to say you can destroy the other or harm the other. And therefore we stand with the Christ, which is compassion, which disables conflict and suffering. Compassion, conscious presence, compassionate conscious presence and action, animating our intelligence, the Christ, it ends suffering, it ends conflict, it ends war. But it is a state of consciousness that requires multiple ego deaths. For those hearing this will say, no, it's the God of Israel, but these are all concepts born of thought that were pointing at the source code programmer in its great love. But if we attach to the image of the source code programmer that our thought has tried to organize it into, its love will be absent. And so, the elitist relationships with the fallen are part of building narratives to ensure suffering takes place. And as they do it, as I've said recently, they taunt the source code. They taunt the program code of reality, for they understand it through extreme knowledge, much of it, but not fully, because they are not all-knowing. Last year, as 9/11 was approaching, I kept thinking about how I saw that the building block of the source code, the 1111, the reason being, if you times 11 by 11, you get 121. 111 by 111, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. 1111, 1111, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a pyramid number. It's a building block of the source code. It's sacred. In 2011, I predicted many earthquakes by following this numerological code that the elitists were using to taunt the source code programmer, that the fallen ones were being instructed from, that the fallen ones were instructing the elitists to partake in. And sure enough, as I mentioned, that they can create even earthquakes on the eve of 9/11, another sacred number, at 11:11 p.m. a huge earthquake strikes Morocco. This is all part of the game. This is why World War I ends on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. This is why JFK was assassinated on 22/11. 22 is the master builder number, 11 is the pyramid number, the building block of the creation field. It's a constant taunt. This is due to 9/11, Flight 11, etc., etc. The fallen are generating in this reality suffering. That's their goal. And if you simplify your mind to imagine, not even to believe, just to imagine that that is happening, that a higher dimensional power with great intelligence and technological advancement, who is trying to provide energy for its reality it's created, to allow it to live what perceives to be eternally, but in a reality where the influence of Creator is not present, and the energy for that reality to continue is predominantly brought in by accessing the light of God through fallen species, or species that you genetically make fall with the slave technology. So they bring the light through their free will, which is tampered with to some degree, and their choices into frequency ranges that you can access. This is what the reptilians and their cohorts, for they have allegiances as well, are doing. And this is why the wars and suffering and division in our planet, in our species, in the story of mankind, all of it, all of the religious paraphernalia, the prophetic paraphernalia, it's all just a cover-up to move the programs of human consciousness to ensure that when the moment comes, we choose war yet again. We choose suffering and violence yet again. And we bring more and more energy into their grasp as we do. And this means you have to deprogram all religious attachment, all nationality attachment. It means you have to become a vessel that is no longer driven by personal history and these concepts. You have to become a vessel that is spiritually reborn. And that looks a lot like appearing in this moment all of a sudden, and there being this crisp beauty to the moment, this crisp connection to the moment, to the living God. And in that space you do not label it, you do not try to understand it through analysis and science. You reach a point where you are merely lovingly aware. And this is humility ultimately, for you present the life you are, meaning the soul awareness you are, not the national identity, the personal history. but the soul awareness that dwells inside the fallen vessel presents the vessel before the living God here and now, and is lovingly aware, awaiting its divine revelation to guide its life. There God can animate you with a greater love and move your intelligence to various different roads and paths that you can't even begin to imagine. If you are an empty vessel awaiting God's instruction alone, and when that instruction arrives, there's not a voice inside you that says, do I agree or disagree? But rather, as the divine instruction arrives, action and decision are all one. There's no decision maker, there's no one deciding to act. Divine revelation, action, decision, all one movement in the organism that you are. This is where God so guides the humble. For there, in that space, you are allowing the divine will to completely govern the direction of your life. You are humble before the Creator. This is the space they fear the most. And they are here. And they are some, I believe, underground. And they are attaching to people. And they are using biosuits, which I've said are the greys, some of them, not all by any measure. And they are feeding on humanity, and they have allegiances with the elite to ensure that we believe all of the stories and narratives of the various different identities they've managed to have take a hold in human thought. And ultimately it is only the cessation of the hardware of the knowledge of good and evil operating system that builds an image of self where the sacred is. Before the advent of speech and religious terminology, the sacred was, and could connect with mankind. We are predominantly having relationships with the image of the sacred based in thought and symbol. And this is a poor, if not even a substitute for the sacred and its power. For when the sacred is in your vessel, through your cells, you will speak to the fallen ones with the authority of Creator, and you will separate the codes that connect them to this 3D simulated extraction matrix, which is still original creation, but has been tampered with. And it was tampered with so heavily that even the purest of souls, such as Jesus Christ, that the Creator knew by sending them into this fallen world that they would suffer. And if you awaken the light of Christ in your life, and the source code programmer begins to write reality in favor of its will through the human organism you formerly wrongly identified with as a nationality and a personal history and a job description and a religious self and all of these things, the enemy will come for you. The fallen ones will come for you. But you have more power. And they come for you because they fear you. This is why they come. So yes, they are here. I have seen them. I remove them from people. And they are working together with various possessed elitists. Some elitists are so amnesic of the truth of what they are that they don't even know they exist, are just being influenced by them from another space. Others have open allegiance with them and are part of meticulous, organized, planned deception. The father of lies is Satan. Don't you think that hyper-intelligent humans alone would get together and work out the meticulous, structured planning of deception? And they do. To the degree they even manufacture wars for what we see as this hugely important human history and story. To them is nothing more than scripts and pantomime to ensure one thing: we continue to live in fear, separation, war, and continue to use collective intelligence to manufacture and manifest items based on the foundation of that energy. It takes great detachment from this reality to begin to see that. but it's true. However much that depletes the meaning of human history for you. For them, the only thing that matters is that we buy the script, that we fall into the knowledge of good and evil operating system and bring the light of God into frequency ranges that they can feed on. So to them, any old story, any old religion, any old nationality will do, so long as they leave that space that Rumi said, out beyond your ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, I'll meet you there. Jesus said, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. It's saying the same thing. Transcend the slave technology, stand in the potent power of Christ, and use your ability as a conscious co-creator, a programmer of this reality, to delete the darkness that torments man, woman, and child. I shall leave it there. I love you all. God is good. Bye. I was at the hospital last night with one of the children. He went into a series of very violent seizures and just wouldn't stop. So we took him, and I was thinking about you guys. I was thinking, some of these people, they'll just be waking up now and making their breakfast, completely oblivious to the fact that because in their heart they decided to reach out and share with what we're doing for these children here. I was able to have fuel in my car and to be able to drive to the hospital with money for the bills to make sure that Joshua could get the treatment to put a stop to his seizures. Without intervention, he would have seizured possibly until death or until irreparable brain damage last night. And this place only exists because of you guys, and you have no idea what you've just done. At every given moment, I can't share what is happening, but every given moment, when you share with us, you're the one healing them. That's what I was thinking while I was driving. While you're sleeping in your bed, or worrying about your daily work, oblivious to the idea that you're saving a child's life here. It's pretty amazing. God bless you.